welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm Alicia, and today we have a mood reading vlog. I had actually been in quite a reading slump before I picked up the first book in this vlog you're about to watch, because I had been wanting to film a 7 horror books in 7 days, but I actually had to put a pin in that video because one of the books I read was a little bit more devastating than I had expected it to be. I don't know if you guys have ever read horror books before, but sometimes just the themes in them and the things that happen in them, although they're entertaining in a disturbed and taboo kind of way sometimes they can just be really, really dark and put you in a not great place. And that's kind of what happened, where I just felt so sad after reading one of them that I didn't know what to read next. And I didn't want to keep reading horror and thrillers because I could not take any more devastation and like sad things happening. So I figured I would do a mood read video in the meantime, in between reading my horror and thrillers for that reading vlog. I wanted to read some fun books. I'm actually filming this after I've already read the books. I ended up reading 3 books. You'll see what they are throughout the vlog and probably in the thumbnail, let's be honest. But I ended up with 2 5-star reads and a 4-star read. So yeah, we had some pretty good books in this mood reading vlog, and I'm excited for you guys to hear my thoughts and see my week of mood reading. So without further ado, let's get into it. I just started Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I am on page 28. I've been reading it for just a little bit, like probably not even an hour. Now I'm like curious, how much time is like 28 pages for me? I don't know. I'm really liking it so far. I wasn't sure. So a book this big, like it's not that big, right? Most books I've read that are like vampire, werewolf, just like kind of fantasy type books, I don't think I've read one this small before. There's probably some out there, but I've never read them. And so I was curious at how it would be, like if it would just not have enough world building, or like would it be hard to kind of get into the characters and all of that in such a short amount of time. I mean, I'm only 28 pages in and I don't feel that at all. I feel like it's very well put together so that you're not being like, oh wait, what? I don't understand. I'm confused. Like, you're not like that. It's very simple and easy to understand while also being entertaining. I am really liking it so far. I like can't wait. There's a line that made me like giggle and I was like, this is so cringe, but also I love it. So the premise is that she is a vampire. So the girl is a vampire. The guy is a werewolf, and they end up having to marry for political reasons, I think, or something like that. I'm not that far in, so I'm not completely sure, but something like that. This is like at the altar. And this is in the very first, like the prologue, okay? And this is the very end of it. It says, I just get giggly thinking about it because this just makes me think like fan fiction Wattpad of like Twilight, but it's different, you know? And it makes me happy. It makes me so happy. Like, I am not that person that's like, oh my God, it's so cringe, like I hate it. I'm like, it's so cringe, and that makes me love it. Like, I love it even more because it's cringe. So he says, you, almost too low to hear. How the F do you smell like this? And it's like, wait, is her scent like, is her scent like really good to him? Kind of like Bella's was to Edward. Like, I don't know, it's giving me those vibes. So yeah, when I read that part, I was like, I'm hooked. I'm in. I will read whatever you tell me to read. Please continue. I'm so into it. So I'm just gonna continue reading Bride for today, and I'll keep updating you if things happen that I want to talk about, but I won't spoil anything. And yeah, so let's keep reading. Checking in. I finished Bride, and 5 stars. 5 stars. I absolutely am infatuated with this. Okay, okay, I gotta get my thoughts together. Okay, okay. Take a shot every time I say okay. Don't, because you'll be drunk. This book, from start to finish, I will say that but this is just a personal thing for me specifically because I'm so unique. I usually don't care too much about like after everything has like tied together and wrapped up, I don't really care too much about like the 5 years later, a year later, epilogue, like that sort of thing. So by that point, especially in romance books, I do tend to feel like, can we just wrap it up? Like, I don't care. And it's only because like my favorite part of a romance is like the slow burn and like the getting together rather than the like once they get together. So that's the only reason that I feel that way about epilogues. And so for me, the epilogue was kind of like whatever, but the rest of the story was so good that I was like, I don't even care if the epilogue was like not to my liking, and not even not to my liking. I just don't like epilogues. So like it was fine, but it just, I didn't care. But anyways, I don't know why I'm even like talking so much about that because the rest of the book was so good. So it's basically vampire meets werewolf. They're forced to be together. So it's like forced to be in a bed together, but instead of that, it's forced to be married to one another and live in the same house. And so forced proximity, that's the word I was looking for, forced proximity. And then there's also some fated mate tropes, which we love. I love anyway. I don't know what it was about the slow burn in this, but it was so good. You get to see little clippets from his point of view, but like all the chapters are from her point of view, the vampire. And then there's like little bits at the very beginning of each chapter that are his point of view. And it's so fun and cute to see like his point of view and then read what she's thinking and what she's doing. I loved this book so much. It gave me the feels of ACOTAR, but like watered down. But this was a classic Ali Hazelwood, which I love her writing. I love all her books. I think most of her books I've given 5 stars. If not, they've probably gotten like at least a 4. Like I love her writing. I love her romances. This one might be my favorite Ali Hazelwood book because I am such a big fantasy person. So the fact that I got to have her kind of romance paired with like fantasy, which I love, this was everything to me. So anyways, perfect first book for our mood read because I was definitely in a bit of a reading slump and this got me out of it hardcore. So moving on to the next book I decided to pick, and I already started a bit of it yesterday, is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I have heard amazing things about this book and this series, the Chestnut Springs series. This is the first book in that series, I believe. And they're, from what I've heard, they're like cowboy romances. And from what I've read so far, which is only a couple chapters, I've learned that the main boy is Rhett, and we do get to hear from his point of view and her point of view, and she is Summer. I don't know how I couldn't remember that, but her name is Summer, his name is Rhett, and it's gonna be like a cowboy type ranch setting romance. So I'm very excited for that. Love Yellowstone, so this feels like Yellowstone fan fiction kind of. Not that I actually haven't read Yellowstone fan fiction, but now I'm like, should I look into it? It's summertime, so I felt like this was a great time to pick this book up and finally read it. I've been meaning to, and I'm just in the mood for a little romance. I think after this book, I will probably try to delve into some thriller / mystery, but for right now, this is all the vibes. Anyway, so far, this is such an easy read. And when I say easy read, that's not to give the book shade. That's like, I'm really enjoying it, so it's really easy to get through in the best way. That's what I mean by an easy read, is that I can already tell that I'm going to just eat this up and I cannot wait to finish it. And to have 2 great books in a row, this might be a 5 stars. 2 5 stars in a row, I feel like that's insane. So I am sorry I'm so worked up, you guys. I'm just so excited to read this book, and I'm excited that I read Bride. Now I wish I could read Bride again though. Read it for the first time again. Now I'm getting those vibes where I just want to read it for the first time. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next check-in. This is the final update for the end of this reading vlog. I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. But for this last update, I did read another book, and it was called Dear Laura. And I did read this on Kindle because it was actually one that I found while I'm scrolling through Book Talk on TikTok. I was interested to find one that was a little bit less pages than I'm used to reading, because for me, most of the books I read tend to be over 300 pages. I don't know why, I just tend to like longer books like that. And I've never really dove into books that are almost novellas where they're just, you know, less than 200 pages. But this one sounded really interesting in someone's Book Talk video. It's a horror thriller, probably more horror, I would say. It has a lot of kind of disturbing things that happen and that are described, but they're not like described with that much detail to where it's like, oh my, you know, like it's not like that. I found this book Oh, and the author is Gemma Amor. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm not. The premise is a woman who is searching the forest for her friend's dead body. And I just thought that was a really interesting premise, along with the person that supposedly maybe took her friend writing letters to her throughout her life. And I don't want to tell you any more than that because that's what hooked me in. I was like, that sounds really interesting. It reminds me a lot of one of my favorite books, Pen Pal, because that character also was written letters by the perceived like villain or whatever. And so it kind of gave me those vibes, and I loved that book. That book was a 5-star for me. That's probably the first horror book I've read that I can't say enough good things about that book, but that's not what this reading vlog is about. So I digress. Dear Laura was really, really good. I ended up giving it 4 stars only because it was so short that I just didn't feel like it was 5-star material. But I will say, in such a short time, as I was reading, I kept thinking, how is she building so much in so little time, if that makes sense? And it felt so nice and palate cleansing to read a book that I knew I could finish in a day. That felt really nice to know that there was a book that was so short that I would know the ending, especially when it's like a thriller type of book. If I know that I can know the ending in a day, I get so excited. So it made me, and I did feel like I was kind of in a reading slump after Flawless, only because I didn't know what I wanted to read next, but I did feel like I wanted to read a horror or thriller book, but I didn't want it to be super long because my sister had just told me about a fantasy book series that I really wanted to start, but I wanted another book for this reading vlog, and I didn't want to have to wait too long though to read the fantasy series. So a little novella was perfect. So I do want to say that if you are like craving a certain genre, but there's also a book that you really want to read that's just not the genre you're craving at that time, if you're kind of a genre hopper like I am, I would say go for a novella of that genre so that you can still get to the book that you've been meaning to read pretty quickly, but you can also kind of scratch that itch of like, I really want to read a thriller, or like I need that hit of horror. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense. It definitely scratched that itch for me, and I would recommend to literally anyone. I thought the book was really great. There wasn't any parts that were too horrific or anything for me. I felt like it all ended. It was a solid ending. I'll just say that. You weren't really left wondering things. It was a very solid ending. And I felt like the author did a really good job of making you care about the characters even in such a small amount of reading time. I definitely recommend. Was a solid read. And then I got to move into my new fantasy series that I started, which you'll hear about in the next reading vlog. I'm already halfway through it, and I'm just now finishing this reading vlog of filming. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about the next book that I'm reading. But just to finish up this specific reading vlog, Bride, we had 2 5-star books, Bride and Flawless. Both 5 stars. This one is definitely more fantasy driven, and I would say the spice is a little bit more weird in this book. I didn't quite vibe with it because between these 2 books, I skipped over the spice in this one, read every single word in this one. Let's just say that. The spice in this book, 5 stars. So good. So I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. Let me know if you guys have read this book yet, and also let me know if you've read her other books and which one you think I'll like the most, or tell me which one you guys like the most out of the series, because I can't imagine that the other books could be better than this one. But also, like, what if they are? Like, I'm so excited. It's happiness, joy, and fun. I feel like that's the 3 words I would describe this as, and a little bit of spice. The spice is so good. So this one again, so both of these were 5 stars. And then I would say 4 stars for Dear Laura, which is that not amazing for a reading vlog? I feel like it's very rare that you get more than 1 5-star in a reading vlog, and I got 2 5 stars. And the 4-star was only a 4-star because it was like shorter. So this was a great reading vlog. If I had to compare these 2 and pick which one I liked better, I would say Flawless I liked better. But I think they're so different that it's kind of hard to compare them, because with Bride, it's more about the occult themes. I think that's part of the occult, like the werewolves and vampires and stuff. I think technically you could call that part of the occult. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong and I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's like under the occult. So it's more of those kind of themes and a little bit more political, and just kind of focuses on kind of a political fantasy romance, that type of thing. And this one is just straight up romance, but with cowboys. So yeah. Okay, I feel like I've talked enough about all these books. Let me know in the comments if you guys have read any of these 3 books, Bride, Flawless, or Dear Laura, which I did read on my Kindle. Oh, it's free on Kindle Unlimited. I forget if I said that. Also, Flawless, I didn't realize is free on Kindle Unlimited as well, and so is the rest of the series, which makes me very excited because anything I don't have to pay extra for, I am so down with. Kindle Unlimited is my favorite thing, and I'm just so excited that all those are on Kindle Unlimited. I think that's it for this reading vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment below and let me know if you guys have read these books, what you guys thought about them, how you guys rated them, and also let me know any recommendations that you have for me to read in like upcoming reading vlogs, because I am having so much fun vlogging myself reading all this stuff. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you guys in my next one.